Welcome, everybody. Let's talk about the rubber band tension that Ben Hogan mentions in his 5 lessons. Now, I've read this book. I actually have this book, and I read it a few times. I haven't looked at it in quite a few years. Um, and when I first read it, I'd only been playing golf a few years, and but even as the years went on, I never really forgot some of the things I read in his book because there was just something very special about Ben Hogan. It wasn't just that he won a lot of tournaments. There was something very special about him. And some of you know about his history and a lot of trials and tribulations that this man went through. And it isn't just a car accident. There's a lot of things that this guy went through that a lot of people don't know about, especially in early life. But getting back to the whole rubber band tension thing, I looked at this picture many times, and probably like a lot of you right now, you know, you, I just thought, you swing back and then you move the hips forward and then the upper body kind of lags behind and you have this little springy tension kind of thing going on, and it's naturally just going to happen and you're going to hit the ball real far. But as most of you can testify, you never seem to hit the ball very far. And then I just chalked it up to, well, it's because other parts of my swing are horrible and I'm just not doing it right, and so on and so forth. But the real truth, and I'm going to talk about it in this video, and then if I get a chance to go to the golf course and do some video or even some in my backyard, I'm actually going to demonstrate and articulate what Ben Hogan was probably really talking about, okay? This is one of the most misunderstood things in golf, in the golf swing, is what type of tension he's really talking about and how do you actually create it and how do you apply it in the golf swing. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, I always thought it was just, you swing back, and as your hips are going back, you fire the hips first rotationally with a little bit of lateral move towards the target, of course, and then the upper body would just, would respond to that movement, and then there's your tension. But that's not it at all. That is actually not it at all. It isn't just you swing back and then you create this twisty little rubber band motion, and then it's automatically just going to stay tense, and it's automatically going to release itself at the right point. That's just, now knowing what I know about golf now, and things that I discovered as my swing got better and better and better and better, I got to a place where my golf swing is, very, very good compared to where it used to be most of my life. I realized that I had it all wrong. And my swing was bad, my sequencing was bad, my positioning was bad, just a lot of bad things in the golf swing, and a lot of lack of understanding. So basically, in a nutshell, I didn't have a proper platform, meaning my swing was not properly constructed. The biomechanical moves, all of it, wasn't properly constructed. So even if I did know what Ben Hogan was really talking about, as you see here in this picture, I wouldn't have been able to apply it. But now that my structure, my swing is much better, and with some recent discoveries, which, like I said, I'll probably hopefully get into a video tomorrow. I'm doing this very late on Saturday night. I have to go to church in the morning and do some singing, which is awesome. Sing for the congregation and with some other people, and it's going to be really, really awesome. So, but after that, hopefully I can get out to the golf course here, not too far from where I live, and hit some balls. And I'll bring the camera, hopefully, and we'll see how things go. But what I discovered about what Ben Hogan was really talking about in this picture and in his book was there's a tension that exists between the lower body and the upper body. And it isn't just automatically going to wind itself up and unwind itself. And it has to be done really in a certain part of the swing, and it has to be maintained for quite a while in the swing before you release it. So the best way I can explain it, and when I do the video tomorrow, hopefully I can kind of demonstrate and articulate it verbally at the same time. But the reason why it's very difficult to teach this is because it's very difficult to articulate it into words. As you can hear me now, I'm having a hard time trying to articulate this, right? And a lot of you probably heard other teachers and other golfers say, even professional golfers, they'll say something like, I feel a stretch across the midsection of my body. You ever hear any professional golfers talk about that, or teachers? There's a stretch that goes on across the middle of the body, you know. But that doesn't really tell you much, does it? You know, it doesn't tell you about how you form, how do you create this so-called stretch? When is it created? How long do you hold it? When do you release it? Right? You almost never hear about those kind of detailed questions, and it's someone make an attempt to answer them, because it's one of the most misunderstood things in golf. And I don't think people are intentionally trying to keep a secret. You know, I think there are really good professionals and even golf teachers of the golf swing. They probably mean well, but it's just so difficult to articulate it. Okay. Because it's something that's internal. It's a muscular thing. And how do you express muscular tension? I mean, you can't really put that in words very well. And even if you do, it's not until the person truly experiences it for themselves that they finally say, aha. You know, it's kind of like an aha moment, right? So what I'm going to tell you right now is that for me, as I began to get better and better at golf, and as I began to understand this tension, because it's a very, fairly recent discovery, okay? That is the separation between, let's say, as you look at this photo here, in Ben Hogan's, let's just imagine Ben Hogan was standing at, and maybe I'll put an image of it here in the video at the right time here, as I'm speaking about it. Let's just imagine that Ben Hogan, will use him as an example, because obviously he's one of the best golfers of all time. But let's imagine him standing at address. And what I want you to get the picture of is, let's just say that if you ever notice him in his swing, in some of his swings, you'll notice this, that he does something unique in his swing. And Gary Player kind of picked up on this too, but I don't think Gary Player really truly understood it. I know that's kind of naive for me to say that, because Gary's also one of the great golfers of all time, obviously. But that is a small little hip movement, rotational hip movement, before the swing even starts. And I've even heard Gary Player say, well, this is just to initiate the swing. But that's not what Ben Hogan was doing. It wasn't just to initiate the swing. It was actually to create tension. And it's a very small move, but it makes such a huge difference. And I'm not speculating, because I actually learned it recently as I was practicing getting in much better position for impact, something I've been working on a very long time. And the more and more I practice it, I kind of just stumbled across this tension, and I never really felt it before. And I kept kind of expressing this tension and expanding on the concept of this tension. Then a light bulb went off, you know, or I should say it came on. Light bulb came on. So getting back to what I was talking about, imagine Ben Hogan standing at address, and let's just say, follow along with me on this. This is very difficult to articulate this in words, because it really is a feel, okay? I want you to imagine your belt buckle's just, you know, straight, pointing kind of at the ball. Okay, and I want you to imagine that you turn your hips just a little bit, very small amount, just maybe 1 or 2 degrees, very tiny. Rotate it towards the target. So for a right-handed golfer, which I am, you would rotate it to the left. But just a tiny, tiny amount. Okay? And then the second thing you're going to do, this is in order. In a real golf swing, you're kind of going to do it simultaneously, but for those that don't know, I'm going to give it to you in order, okay? The second thing you're going to do is is you're going to move both your arms a little bit as if you're going to start your backswing. Just move them to your right for the right-handed golfer. Okay? And just hold them there. Okay, just kind of hold them there. You don't even need a club in your hand to do this. As a matter of fact, you probably shouldn't have a club in your hand when you first do this. Now remember, at this point, that little bit of hip turn that you had towards the target is still there. You have to hold it there. Now, as you move your arms to the right, you're going to move your upper torso. That means everything from your belt line up. Okay, particularly your abdominal muscles. That portion above your belt, but a little bit maybe below your chest. Okay, you're going to move that with your arms to the right, kind of like if you're going to go into your backswing. So your hips a little bit to the left, and you're moving your arms and your abdominal muscles a little bit to the right. Now you could do that in a very relaxed manner, meaning anybody can stand, move their hips a little left, and just turn your torso a little bit to the right. And there doesn't need to be very much, hardly any tension at all. You could do that with little to no tension. Okay? But when you're in that position, just like I just mentioned, a little bit of your hip to the left, a small degree, very small amount, and a little bit of your torso, a small amount to the right. When you're in that position, I want you to squeeze your stomach muscles. But keep the position. Don't change it. Squeeze your stomach muscles. You're also going to squeeze your lat muscles. If you don't know what those are, you need to look it up. Okay, and your lead pectoral muscle, that's your chest muscle, is going to have a little tension in it too. Okay, for those that are familiar with bodybuilders, you ever see the most muscular pose? They like, remember the old Hulk, the Hulk series? You know, the Green Hulk. He did the big muscular pose. But we're not just tensing, we're not really tensing our arms and our pec muscles. What I really want you to get at is if you ever notice a bodybuilder and they do the most muscular pose, you see how their abdominal muscles pop out? Call it a six-pack. Well, I want you to think like that. So it's going to be your back, lat muscles, and your abdominal muscles, and even on the side of your stomach, on the side of your body. I want you to tension up those muscles a lot. Okay? So here are the three pieces. I'm going to go over it again. Your hips, your belt buckle is just a little bit left or a little bit towards the target, just a touch. Your upper body, especially your abdominal muscles, are going to be just a little bit to the right. So they're moving in the opposite direction, right? Rotationally now. Not sliding along. You're not sliding. You're just rotating them in the opposite direction to a small degree. Then you're going to do a lot of tension with your abdominals and your back muscle. Okay? Now, we're exaggerating what you see in Ben Hogan's picture. We're exaggerating it by tightening up those muscles a lot. Now, from that point right there, with that small difference between the hips and the upper body, it's a really small difference. You're not doing a big twist between the two, just a small amount. With that and the tension, you're going to maintain the tension with the separation in place between the upper and lower body. You're going to maintain that tension. It takes work. Then you're going to put, at this point, you can put a glove in your hand, okay? You're going to maintain that tension, and you're going to swing to the top of your swing. Or even just half a swing even. And you still have to hold all that tension in your muscles. Remember, this is a drill. Okay? And with that tension, with that separation, then you're going to make a move with your lower body, and you're going to begin to execute your downswing. And you're going to still hold that tension all the way through the downswing. And eventually the club's going to kind of take over, momentum's going to kind of take over, and you're going to feel a natural spring release. And the club's going to come zipping through there. Now that's the best way I can articulate this in words, and like I said, hopefully tomorrow I'll get a chance to put out the video. What would really, really do justice is, having the shirt completely off and just the upper part of the body is just skin only. I'm very thin and I have a high metabolism, so my muscles kind of pop out. I don't have really big muscles, nothing like a bodybuilder, and I don't want to be a bodybuilder, but I'm a pretty skinny guy, but also really hairy, so I don't know if it'll look very good on video. I might do it, but I'm not sure I have the courage to put out a skinny, hairy body. It won't look very good on video, but But I want you to imagine all the tension that you would see in the stomach muscles and the side along the obliques and the back muscles. Okay. And there's also some tension in the trail foot. The heel's going to be a little bit off the ground. You need that so that you can, it acts as an anchor so that you can have tension between the lower and upper body. Now, there's a lot more to than that because your swing's got to be a well-constructed swing to take advantage of that tension, but that's what Ben Hogan was really talking about. Now, he isn't necessarily holding all that tension throughout his entire swing. He got to the point in his swing where he was very good, where he applied that tension at the right time and only for a short amount of time in his swing, and he used it to his advantage. That's why he could hit the ball so long for such a small guy. So this is something that almost probably 95, 99% of amateurs don't know how to do because it's difficult to do it. It's difficult to learn it. It's difficult to put into words and articulate. It's not just change a direction where you get up there and then in transition you create this tension. It's not just that. It's an angle of separation between the upper and lower body that you have to maintain with tension involved. So you have a separation of lower and upper body in a very small degree, and it also is accompanied by tension throughout your torso. And even a little bit in your kind of your legs a little bit, but mostly it's in your torso. And that separation has to be maintained with that tension throughout the downswing. Now remember, the swing is very quick, right? Look at most professional golfers. And I'm not even convinced that all professional golfers actually do this. Some just have other ways to create power. They don't use the Ben Hogan method. But Ben Hogan's method works great. And it's going to work for people who aren't big, tall people or just people who get power in different ways. Because there are other ways that if you look at some of the long drive contestants, they don't use Ben Hogan's approach. Not all of them anyway. They're using all kinds of weird stuff, squatting and jumping and all this other kind of leverages, right? You never saw Ben Hogan jump. But I mean, he did extend his pelvis towards the target, but he never did early extension. He did what we would call correct extension or late extension. That's what you really want. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about discovering the proper way to use tension in your abdominal and midsection to create a lot of power in the swing. So I'm going to put out a video hopefully tomorrow, and we're going to talk, and hopefully I can get some shots. I haven't been to the range in a while, so hopefully I can get out there and get some footage and demonstrate to you guys and gals, what Ben Hogan really meant by this picture of a rubber band. See, even Ben Hogan was trying to articulate in his book of 5 lessons, right? He tried to put it into pictures and into words. And here I am, a guy like me, I'm in my mid-50s now. For 25, 30 years, I thought I knew what he was talking about. I had no idea. I didn't know. I literally did not know what he was really talking about. And I've been swinging golf clubs and doing things for over 2 decades. And it is really not until just the last few days that I finally really said, oh my gosh. I mean, it was like the power in my golf swing right now is so ridiculously good. So, anyway, I think that's it for now. I'll put out a video hopefully tomorrow. It could be in a few days when I get time to do it, but I'm going to try to do it as soon as I can. And hopefully I can demonstrate. I actually bought a little, I'll finish up the video with this. I bought a little caddy, what do they call this? A swing caddy. It's a swing caddy launch monitor, the little small one that they have. I bought a used one, I think on eBay like a few months back. So I'll bring that to the range and hopefully, and I'm going to be hitting range balls, and I know this range has really cruddy range balls, but I don't want to make any excuses. But I just hate hitting range balls because they don't really respond very well. But I'll bring my swing caddy launch monitor with me, and you just the little small one. You just set it up behind directly behind where your your target line, about whatever 8 feet, 10 feet back, and it picks up most of your shots and most of the ball speed and everything, and calculates the distance within a few yards is pretty good. So got to remember to bring that along, and then hopefully I can have something to show you guys about how big of a difference this made in my golf game, in my swing, and in the power and the distance and everything. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to y'all real soon again next time.